Thank you for tuning into Crime 411 with me, Melissa Marquet. I hope everybody is staying safe during this pandemic we are facing with this coronavirus. It's a crazy and very strange time, isn't it? In this video, I am going to cover the first 6 pages of the arrest affidavit for Letecia Stauch. Letecia is in custody, has been arrested and charged in the first-degree premeditated murder of her 11-year-old stepson, Gannon. If you are not familiar with Gannon's case, we have been covering this story since day one. So you can get caught up, bring yourself up to speed. All of the videos that we have done are accessible on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and our website, which is crime411.org. If you are familiar with the case, then we're going to go ahead and jump right in. And the reason that we are doing this in stages is because this affidavit is 32 pages long, and within this 32-page document, there is a lot of information, and we want to make sure to provide it to you in a way that is easy to understand and is not overwhelming. So we're going to do this in a series of videos, and the first video, of course, is this one, where we are going to cover page 1 through 6 of the arrest affidavit. Now, Gannon's biological father was married to Letecia. He has since filed for divorce, which God knows he deserves. At the time that Gannon went missing, he was deployed with the National Guard from January 25th through January 28th. So he was not home. Just want to go ahead and make sure that that is in there. On January 27th of 2020, at about 6:55 in the evening, Letecia reported Gannon missing after calling 911. During that phone call, she was instructed to call the El Paso County non-emergency line, which she did. Now, in summary, Letecia stated that Gannon was supposed to be home about an hour ago, and she was unable to locate him at his friend's house. Now, her story dramatically changed multiple times over the following days, and if you have not gotten any information about this affidavit, let me just give you a heads up. You are in for the shock of your life when you hear the stories and the lies that she comes up with, that she tells investigation team. It is unbelievable. Investigators do not believe that Letecia went to any of the neighbors' houses in an attempt to locate Gannon, and now that she's been arrested with his murder, we know why. She knew he wasn't there. They say this is one of the many lies that Letecia told during the investigation. She was not only unable to provide the actual locations of the homes that she went to, which that's the easy part, right? She was also unable to provide the names of Gannon's friends that he was supposed to be playing with, or their parents' names. The deputies responded to the Stauch residence in Colorado Springs, obviously unable to locate Gannon. They conducted a limited search of the residence, and they took a report from Letecia. Now, some of the interaction between the responding deputies and Letecia were captured on the body cam of the responding officers. A missing person investigation was initiated, and in the coming days that developed into a murder investigation. I want to point something out. A lot of times law enforcement, they're not going to share every single detail with the public because they can't. And so people will automatically say, oh, they dropped the ball. This should be a murder investigation. How are they not looking at stepmom? They know what they're doing. So just because they hadn't told the public what they were doing doesn't mean that they were not doing their jobs or that they had dropped the ball. This affidavit clearly states that in the coming days, this developed into a murder investigation. And that tells me that they knew exactly what they were doing. Just want to bring that out to point that out, because it is important. It's very easy to say, oh, they're not doing their job when people get emotionally invested into a case like this. And I was guilty of that myself. So just saying, they know what they're doing, right? So anyhow, let's keep moving forward. We know that a tip line was established and that investigators received hundreds and hundreds of tips from the public, whether it was by email or telephone. Letecia initially claimed she last saw Gannon on January 27th when he left their home at about 3:15 in the afternoon. to go play with his friends. Based on the facts outlined in this affidavit and also by Letecia's statement to the El Paso County dispatcher, Letecia was the last person that ever saw Gannon alive. She stated she attempted to find him at a neighbor's house and that she sent her daughter, Harley Hunt, to look for Gannon at a park. It's an interesting detail that you'll understand why more so as we get into the details of the affidavit. But let's keep going. So paragraph 23, Letecia lied to investigators on multiple occasions and has unexplained abnormal behavior that I'm going to read directly from the affidavit, such as obtaining a rental car, disconnecting her cell phone from the cellular network for an extended period of time, the false reporting of an alleged rape. Yeah, if you hadn't heard that one yet, just wait. This lady is crazy. Abnormal patterns of travel, a continuously evolving story with material changes in facts and circumstances, and at the time that the affidavit was put together, had since left the state of Colorado. States word for word, these actions, when combined with other facts in this affidavit, support the totality of probable cause for the requested warrant and will be discussed throughout this affidavit. Okay. The next section is listed the murder of Gannon Stauch. It says here that this section here is outlining what investigators learned about Letecia's activity on January 27th, 2020, and outlines the period of time when Gannon was likely murdered. They believe that Gannon was murdered by Letecia Stauch in the afternoon, after approximately 2:14 in the afternoon on Monday, January 27th, 2020, at his residence, and more specifically in his bedroom. Now, I am not saying by any means that I am more qualified than an FBI agent or an investigative team of professionals, but I still wonder, and I still believe that Gannon may have been murdered between 11:22 in the morning and 1:22 in the afternoon. And as you learn more of the details of this case through this video and the following videos that we're going to do that cover the affidavit, I think you'll understand why I wonder about that. And there has been a lot of discussion about that. I'm not the only person who is thinking that maybe the time period was a little bit off, but I understand also why law enforcement and the investigation team believes that it was after 2:14 in the afternoon based on certain information that is in this affidavit as well, and we'll get to that. But anyhow, there is physical evidence recovered in Gannon's bedroom that a violent event occurred in his bedroom, which caused bloodshed, including blood splatter on the walls, and enough blood loss to not only stain his mattress, but to soak through the carpet pad, and stain the concrete below his bed. That's horrific. There are photographs of that evidence that are included in the affidavit. I will not show them. Out of respect for Gannon and his family, I'm not going to show them. This is a public document that you are able to obtain on your own. So if you would like to see those photos, you are more than free to go ahead and get them on your own. But again, like I said, I'm not going to include them in this video. I won't include them in any video out of respect for little Gannon. They say, paragraph 26, based on evidence recovered from the residence, Gannon's remains were eventually brought through the house into the garage and likely loaded into the back of Letecia's Volkswagen. After cleaning the murder scene, Letecia utilized that Volkswagen to transport and dump Gannon's remains on the evening of January 28th of 2020. They say Letecia likely disposed of his remains off Highway 105 and South Perry Park Road in Douglas County, Colorado. Now, if you remember, that was the focal point for quite a few days where investigators were searching for Gannon. And they do say here that Metro Crime Lab determined that blood discovered in Gannon's bedroom, in the Stauch's garage, and also blood on a piece of particle board that was found off Highway 105 and South Perry Park Road did all match Gannon's DNA profile. Paragraph 27. On Monday, January 27th, Gannon stayed home from school, which we knew. Based on text messages from Letecia to Gannon's father, Al, Gannon was up most of Sunday night with a stomach problem. Letecia did tell Gannon's school, Grand Mountain Elementary, that Gannon would be absent on Monday, and investigators were able to verify that Gannon was marked as an excused absence that day. Letecia also told Al in a text, and it says here in quotations, ... I'm just going to give them an excuse at work and stay with him ... End quote. Now, the excuse she came up with for her job as to why she couldn't go to work shows what kind of a sick, twisted, dark person we're dealing with here. Her employer, she sent an excuse and told her employer via text message that her stepfather had been killed after being hit by a car and she was not able to come to work that day. That's a pretty vulgar, twisted, sick lie, right? How about I have a flat tire? Or how about telling the truth? My son is sick, I can't come in. Her stepfather was killed after being hit by a car? That's a sick person to come up with something like that. That's insane. Paragraph 28. Other electronic evidence, such as time and date stamped photos and videos, were recovered from Letecia's cell phone that indicate Gannon was likely still alive during the morning of January 27th. The reason that word likely stands out to me as much as it does is because, again, I personally feel as though there's a good possibility that Gannon had been murdered between 11:22 in the morning and 1:22 in the afternoon. And the fact that they're saying he was likely still alive, to me, says that they don't have an exact time that he was murdered, and so that the possibility of him having been murdered in the afternoon or the late morning hours is not necessarily a theory that is to be debunked at this point, right? Paragraph 29. It says here, images were taken on Letecia's cell phone at or about 8:13 and 8:17 in the morning on January 27th, that Monday. They show Gannon sleeping in his bed. They particularly want the court to take note of the fact that his Nintendo Switch is visible in the photos and it's lying next to him on the bed. Now, Gannon's father has said time and time again how important that Nintendo Switch was to Gannon. My personal opinion, this is not stated in the affidavit, but my personal opinion is that Letecia posed that photo and put that Nintendo Switch next to Gannon to show how important it was to him, because if he were missing with his Nintendo Switch, then they might look at him as a runaway. Now, that's what I thought, okay? And as we get into the details here, apparently law enforcement thought the same thing. They conducted a Google search for the term, "Can Nintendo find my Switch?" And the investigative team said that they learned that a Nintendo Switch does not come with any sort of tracking ability. So as such, Letecia likely felt that it was safe to dispose of the Switch and used the missing Switch to help try and deceive law enforcement into searching for Gannon, like I said, as a possible runaway. Paragraph 31. Investigators located video surveillance from a neighbor's surveillance camera that showed what they believed to be, keywords, believed to be, Letecia and an individual that appeared to match Gannon's physical description depart their residence in the Nissan Frontier, that's that red pickup truck in that video that's been circulating, at about 10:16 in the morning on January 27th. Now, the reason that they're saying that it appears to be Gannon is because, as they state in paragraph 32, the video camera was several homes away, and it didn't provide images clear enough to make a positive identification of the folks that were captured in the recording, but they still say that they have reason to believe that it was Gannon and Letecia. The vehicle returns 4 hours later at approximately 2:19 in the afternoon, right? And Letecia exits the vehicle. There has been a lot of speculation online as to whether or not Gannon exited the vehicle when Letecia came home 4 hours later. I have personally watched that video so many times that I've lost count. I have not been able to see a single thing that would be an indication of Gannon exiting that vehicle that afternoon. I haven't seen a single thing indicative of the fact that that boy came home with her at all. What the investigative team says here, they say, after viewing the video, I cannot be sure if another person exited the vehicle or not, but I submit Gannon likely did return home with Letecia that afternoon. Now, I think I know why they are under that impression, and I will get to that here in just a minute. They go on to say these times, corroborated by data collected from an ADT security system installed in the Stauch's residence, are discussed below in more detail. Now, the ADT system that the Stauch residence had was not just a standard ADT system. You break in the home, the alarm goes off, the cops come. They had it set up with motion detectors in the living room and in the basement and throughout the home. So this way, if the cameras sensed any sort of motion within the home, it would go beep, 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 and it would capture that movement. Based on the data that they got from ADT, from the Stauch's ADC security system, the motion detectors in the living room or basement did not register any activity the entire 4 hours that they were gone, which is very important. Investigators confirmed that Lena, Gannon's little sister, was at school and that Harley was at work. They confirmed that with Harley's employer. So as such, investigators believe there was likely no one else in the residence except for Letecia and Gannon, if Gannon returned home with her in the afternoon. Paragraph 34. Letecia's historical cell site information detailed information about her iPhone status and a text message that was sent to Harley from Gannon's cell phone support the fact that Letecia did leave her phone at home on the morning of the 27th. They go on to say that the fact that she left her phone at home is suspicious by itself based on her history of such extensive use of her phone. This is somebody who is definitely not used to not having her phone in her hand, basically is what they're saying here. And yet she left her phone home that day, and they find that suspicious. Paragraph 35 says, I have reviewed forensic search records from Letecia's phone and found she's an active user of social media, including but not limited to Facebook and Instagram. A more detailed review of Letecia's iPhone screen time log between January 25th and January 29th revealed that Letecia spent approximately 10.7 hours of cumulative time on Facebook and Facebook Messenger alone during that time. She locked her phone on the morning of the 27th at 9:56 in the morning, right before she and Gannon are seen getting into the red pickup truck, and didn't unlock it until 14:45 military time, so 2:45 that same day. Paragraph 36 says the timing of the unlocking of the device is significant as compared to her departure and arrival to and from the residence and should be noted by the court. Particularly the fact that she didn't open her phone for almost 30 minutes after she got home. On January 27th, 2020, there was a message sent from Gannon's phone to Harley's phone that read, Tisha left phone at home. If you need her, text me. That was at 10:37 in the morning. So about 20 minutes after they left the house. Now, investigators, paragraph 38, investigators were able to confirm, based on video surveillance footage and purchase receipts, that Letecia traveled to Petco, which had been discussed so many times by people on social media. It was the Petco on North Nevada Avenue in Colorado Springs. So that is 22 miles from their residence, which is about a 30-minute drive based on Google Maps directions. The receipt that they found shows that Letecia completed her purchase at 11:22 in the morning. Gannon is not visible on any surveillance video obtained at Petco. Now, this is where my thinking cap comes on, where I say I believe wholeheartedly that Gannon was murdered between 11:22 in the morning and 1:22 in the afternoon. Paragraph 39. Letecia's whereabouts are unknown between approximately 11:22 and 1:22 hours. At 1:22 in the afternoon, Letecia was again captured on video surveillance making a second purchase at Petco, the same Petco on North Nevada Avenue. Al, Gannon's dad, sent a text message to Gannon's cell phone at 12:06 in the afternoon, and it said, "Hey, buddy." This message was unanswered until 1:21 in the afternoon, 1 minute before she went back into the Petco the second time. The response that was sent from Gannon's phone said, "Can I play Zelda at least?" To which Al, Gannon's father, replied, "Not today." So 1 minute before she goes back into Petco is when he replied to his dad. And no one knows her whereabouts for those 2 hours. That to me really stood out. Especially for a kid who wants to play his Nintendo Switch. You would think that as soon as his dad messaged him, "Oh, hey, can I play Zelda?" Right? But that didn't happen here. Paragraph 40. A significant event occurred on Gannon's phone at approximately 1:43 in the afternoon, which was prior to arriving back at the Stauch home. There was an internet search, and this has been talked about a lot by the folks that are following Gannon's story, but there was an internet search. It was at 1:43 in the afternoon. It said, "Can my parent find my cell phone if it's off?" I'm going to read this verbatim. "I submit that this internet search was likely conducted by Letecia on Gannon's phone and not Gannon himself. Based upon the content of the search, the way the search terms are phrased, and the presence of quotations in between the words phone and if. This is very similar to the way Letecia conducted searches on her phone. However, I located other internet searches with quotation in Gannon's search history, which I also reasonably believe were conducted by Letecia. A more detailed explanation of Letecia's search history is included in paragraph 141 of this affidavit." So we will get to her internet searches in another video where we cover the details of this affidavit. But I just wanted to go ahead and say that law enforcement is of the opinion that that search on Gannon's phone, which we all said was actually done by Letecia and not Gannon. 41, paragraph 41. Furthermore, the search term was parent, singular. It says, "I submit it is reasonable that Mr. Stauch only, not Letecia, would be interested in the location of Gannon's phone, and that Letecia was possibly deliberating on how or if she was going to dispose of Gannon's phone after she murdered him." I personally am of the opinion, like I said, that he was already gone during this time, but we will certainly find out, I would imagine, as this case progresses. Paragraph 42. Investigators conducted the Google search of "Can my parent find my cell phone if it is off?" and learned that the first answer returned in the search engine says the answer to your question depends on what method is being used to track your location. Gannon's phone was found at the residence, so it stands to reason that Letecia didn't get rid of Gannon's phone because she was afraid that it would be traceable. Okay. Paragraph 43. The Nissan Frontier, that red pickup truck, returned to the Stauch residence at about 2:20 in the afternoon. This is why I believe investigators think that the murder happened after they returned home that afternoon. It says here in paragraph 43 that a search warrant authorized by this court was executed on the Nissan Frontier and found no indication of blood inside the vehicle. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I think that one detail right there is why they are so focused on the fact that this murder took place after Letecia returned home in the afternoon. But one thing that I will say is that there was no indication of blood in the trunk of the Volkswagen either. So it is possible that if there was no blood in the trunk of the Volkswagen, that there was no no traceable blood inside the pickup truck either. And in the video, you can see that Letecia looks like she's putting something in the truck. And I'm wondering, and it was actually something that was talked about a lot on social media before this arrest affidavit even became public, that it looked like she may have been putting tarps down in the truck. So if she did, then would it stand to reason that that would be why there was no traceable blood in the vehicle, right? I don't know. But I believe that the fact that there was no indication of blood inside the vehicle is probably why they're assuming that the murder took place after in the afternoon when they came back. But again, I don't know that for sure. Paragraph 44, Letecia had been without her cell phone for hours, yet her screen wasn't unlocked until approximately 2:45, which was 25 minutes after they got back to the residence. So they say during that 25-minute period, there is motion activity both upstairs and downstairs on the ADT records, indicating that somebody was going up and down the stairs. I'm curious, and I wish they had worded this a little bit more detailed, but I'm wondering, was there activity upstairs and downstairs recorded at the same time or not? That to me would be a huge piece of information, and I really wish that was stated more clearly in the affidavit, but it isn't, unfortunately. Paragraph 45. Lena, Gannon's little sister, returns home from school around 3:15. During a recorded forensic interview with investigators, Lena stated that when she came home from school, Letecia told her that Gannon was asleep in her bed and that she could not see him. Letecia told Lena to go outside and play. Now, when she says Gannon was asleep in her bed, did she mean Letecia's bed or Lena's bed? I don't know. But she told her to go outside and play, and it states here, I submit that Lena was sent outside because Gannon was likely dead and Letecia was cleaning up blood from inside the house. Horrible. You send a little girl outside to play while you clean up her brother's murder. Oh, I hope this woman gets the death penalty. I'm gonna calm down. Okay. It's just awful. At about 3:55, Gannon's dad sends another text message to Gannon's phone saying, hey, buddy. That message was not read until 7:40 in the evening. It states it is likely that Gannon was already murdered by Letecia at the time Mr. Stauch sent that message at 3:55. Based on exterior video footage, Harley arrived home at the residence in her own white Volkswagen Jetta at about 16:42 hours, so it's at 4:42, and picked up Lena. They did verify she was at work until 4:15. So at 4:42, she comes home. She picks up the little girl. 10 minutes later, Letecia sends a text message to Harley asking her to buy carpet cleaner, trash bags, and baking soda. These items were likely used to clean up the murder scene. It says Harley did purchase the items, and investigators located a receipt documenting that purchase, and that Harley Hunt has refused to speak with investigators. She's only 17, so interrogation practices can be a little different, I would imagine, with a minor, right? Investigators do not believe that Harley was present when Gannon was killed. As I stated, Harley was at work on January 27th from 8:30 in the morning until 4:15 in the afternoon, and the investigators were able to verify that with her employer. So she was not there. Paragraph 50 states, to be clear, investigators have not located any evidence that any person other than Lena and Letecia had access to Gannon between approximately 1,000 hours and 1734 hours on January 27th of 2020. Terrible. Let's see here. It states here that after responding, law enforcement, Letecia provided verbal consent for deputies to search the house for Gannon. By the way of timeline, they responded at or about 22:09, so approximately 3 hours after Letecia initially called 911. And I know that law enforcement does the best that they can, but in a situation of a missing 11-year-old boy, 3 hours is a really, really long time, and we need to do better than that. That's States here that investigators learned the Volkswagen, known to be leased and utilized by Letecia, was backed into the garage when El Paso County Sheriff arrived at the residence, and that the position of her Volkswagen in the garage is significant, specifically because of the confirmed presence of Gannon's blood in the garage below the area where the rear hatch of her Volkswagen would be, and positive reaction of the chemical used, indicating likely the presence of blood on the Volkswagen's rear bumper. I wish they had searched the vehicle when they went to the house. I would imagine they needed a search warrant to do that, but my God, that's just terrible. Paragraph 53. Responding deputies also searched in Gannon's basement bedroom. It says, and I have viewed images of Gannon's bedroom taken. Below I have included an image of Gannon's bedroom, and on the left, on the right is an image recovered from Letecia's cell phone after executing a search warrant that was applied for and granted by the court. Those images represent the condition of Gannon's bedroom on the 27th at about 8:13 in the morning and just after 8 o'clock in the evening. Is it 8 o'clock? Yeah. This is getting into page 7, so I'm going to stop here. What I can tell you is that the pictures show that the bedroom had completely different linens, a different comforter. Everything was different from the bedroom picture in the morning and that afternoon when deputies arrived at the Stauch home. I'm going to stop there. Like I said, we're going to do this in stages. So this is page 1 through 6 of the arrest affidavit for Letecia Stauch. If you follow us on YouTube, you will get notifications when our next video discussing pages 7 through probably 14 are available. You can also follow us on Facebook, and our website is crime411.org. I am hoping to get the next video out to you tomorrow. In the meantime, like I said, please stay safe in the midst of this pandemic with this coronavirus. Please share your thoughts, comments, and questions on the video, and I will do my best to answer the questions that you do have. And thank you so much again for choosing Crime 411 as a source of information. We'll see you soon.